What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, there's always been a lot of Michael Jordan what ifs, like as far as what if he had went to this team, what if he was drafted by this team, what if he signed with this team. Some of these topics have got a little bit stale over the years, but of course, the big one has always been, hey, what if Portland had drafted Jordan in '84 instead of Chicago? Because Portland had number two pick. They could have picked Jordan. Bobby Knight, the Hall of Fame college basketball coach, told the Portland general manager to draft Michael Jordan after coaching Jordan in '84 in the Olympics. Now, at the time, because hindsight is 2020, people like to ridicule Portland for not drafting Jordan. But let's be honest, the year prior, '83, Portland already acquired Clyde Drexler. So in Portland's defense, they didn't feel like they needed another perimeter guard. They already had Clyde Drexler. So, their need was a big man, which is why they picked Sam Bowie. They couldn't get Olajuwon because Houston had the first pick and they already got him. So there's that one. People have analyzed to death. And then, of course, another scenario is what if, this was revealed maybe 5 or 6 years ago, what if the New York Knicks had acquired Jordan after he became a free agent in July of 1996? Now, after Michael Jordan won his fourth championship, his contract with the Chicago Bulls expired. So he was a free agent. The New York Knicks, it was revealed through his agent David Falk, offered Michael Jordan a 1-year, $25 million contract. Now remember, this is in 1996. That's like now offering a 1-year, maybe 45, close to $50 million contract in today's dollars. That's an absurd amount of money. And the Bulls had an hour, and 1 hour to counteroffer, or Michael Jordan was going to announce that he was going to sign with the New York Knicks. Now, of course, he wanted to re-sign with the Chicago Bulls, but Michael Jordan was infamously underpaid by that organization, making between $2 to $4 million a year, which was decent money, but far below what a player of his caliber should have been making, even in those days. Remember what was it? What's his name? Hot Rod John Williams. I think 1 year with the Cavaliers made $11 million. I'm not disparaging him. May he rest in peace. But I mean, you got guys like Larry Johnson and others making more per year, far more per year than Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and there's something wrong at that time. That's been analyzed. But here's another intriguing scenario that I didn't know about, and it was revealed by Hakeem Olajuwon in his recent autobiography. So Olajuwon said that the Houston Rockets could have pulled off, had they chose to and went for it, they could have pulled off one of the great coups of all time. They could have, after acquiring Hakeem Olajuwon, the #1 pick in '84, which is the last coin flip draft. After acquiring Olajuwon, they could have pushed a trade for Clyde Drexler to come from Portland to Houston in exchange for Ralph Sampson. Instead of going for the Twin Towers strategy, which is what they did in real life, they could have traded Ralph Sampson to Portland in exchange for Clyde Drexler and the #2 pick in the '84 draft. So that would have reunited Hakeem Olajuwon with his five-slammer Gemma teammate, Clyde Drexler. And Portland could have used their number 2 pick to supersede Chicago and draft Jordan to Houston, building a super team. Now, I can't remember that roster like I want to, but I believe their point guards were Lionel Hollins and John Lucas. Two, two really they were good players. The pass first point guards. I believe they were two good pass first defensive point guards. And now you're playing with Jordan and Drexler and Olajuwon. Well, to me, if you take away Ralph Sampson, that gives Olajuwon even more room to maneuver. And the addition of Jordan and Drexler offsets the production that you lose with Sampson. Drexler was a very, very good offensive rebounder for a perimeter guard, by the way. By the numbers, statistically, he's the greatest offensive rebounding shooting guard in the history of the NBA. Drexler routinely averaged, uh, I think, something around 2 offensive rebounds per game, maybe a little bit more than that some seasons. He was a tremendous offensive rebounding guard, usually averaged in his prime around 7 to 8 rebounds per game. That's why I think you put him at the small forward position. He was naturally a little bit bigger, 6'7", 222. I know that's some shoes, but still. Jordan 6'6", at the time, probably about 198. So Drexler was a naturally bigger guy. You put him at the 3, Jordan at the 2. Um, Two spectacular shooting guards, or 2 guards on your team. First of all, I can't help but think that this team instantly becomes a championship contender. They will be coached by the great, great Bill Fitch, who had already, uh, 4 years before that, coached the Boston Celtics to an NBA championship. Bill Fitch was a former Army sergeant, if I'm not mistaken. And don't be fooled by Bill Fitch's wins-losses record. Bill Fitch is one of the top 10 greatest coaches in the history of the NBA. Top 10. His winning percentage is not great. It's under 500 only because Bill Fitch had a knack for going to bad franchises and turning them around. He turned around the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 1970s. He turned around the New Jersey Nets when they were floundering as a franchise. Okay? And remember, before Bill Fitch came to Boston, and people give all the credit to Larry Bird for turning around from 29 wins to 61 wins. But Bill Fitch was part of that too. Bill Fitch had a knack for turning franchises around. Bill Fitch was the coach of the Houston Rockets when they were a terrible team and then helping them go to the finals in '86. So he's one of the greatest coaches. And I can't help but think that he would be a great fit for those personalities. You know what I'm saying? Larry Bird credits Bill Fitch for being a great inspiration on how he approached the game of the NBA, approached the game of basketball in the NBA. They'll be a tremendous defensive team, number one. I think they'd be the best defensive team in basketball. They'll be one of the best offensive teams in basketball, probably second only to the Showtime Lakers. They have the greatest scoring duo, a trio actually. Now, the thing that'll be different is Jordan obviously wouldn't be going off for 35, 37 points a game. He would have those nights though, but I'm thinking he'd be more like in this scenario, he would showcase more of his overall all-around game. And Michael had those types of nights. Everybody keeps thinking that Jordan is always this dude that just shot the ball and scored 35 points and did nothing else. I always sort of like those games too, and Kobe as well, when they would showcase their entire game. I like those games when Jordan might have 16 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Remember back in those days, they didn't fucking pad their numbers and try to push for a triple double. If it happened, it happened. If it didn't, it didn't. The triple double didn't become this thing people were always enamored of until really Russell Westbrook started doing it. Okay? And they didn't give Russell the credit he deserved. But now when Jokic or Doncic or any of the other guys with triple doubles, now all of a sudden it means something. So whatever. But I always liked when those guys, would do that, and I think you would see more of that. And I think the player that you would historically compare him to, maybe even though Jordan would be playing off guard and not two guard, although maybe in some scenarios he might play point guard as well. He did it in Chicago. I think he'd be compared a little bit maybe to Walt Clyde Frazier. Walt Clyde Frazier was a very capable scorer. Jordan would be an even more so capable scorer, actually, obviously. But Walt Clyde Frazier was a guy that could score in the offensive end. Um, nice mid-range game, but he was a lockdown defensive player, and he was a clutch performer. I think that's who Jordan might be compared to earlier on. I think at least in this scenario, Jordan might average more around. Oh, it's kind of difficult, man. What was the league average back then? 108, 109, 110 points. About what it is now. I say Jordan in this scenario might average 25, about 25 points a game. He'd be incredibly efficient, even more so because he's not shooting the ball as much. So instead of him shooting 50, 51, 52% or 47, 48%, I think he'd be shooting more like between 52 to 56% from the floor in some seasons. I think he'd be shooting somewhere in that range. I think Olajuwon would average about 25, 20, about 25 himself. Drexler maybe 22, 21. I think they'd be a phenomenal team, man. And their legacies would be different. Um, and the league trends would be different. One of the things that some people didn't like about the Jordan influence is how the 80s trend of passing all around team play gradually turned into the slug it out, grinding, half court, perimeter, what am I trying to say? Perimeter hero ball, uh, basketball that we saw in the late 90s. Some people and say Jordan was a lot responsible for that. You know what I'm saying? In this scenario, there would probably be more emphasis on trying to build great teams through draft and trading. Super teams, mind you, but then again, we've always seen some semblance of a super team in the NBA. It's just that this would be a lottery ticket. This would be a bonanza, you know. Um, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the Houston Rockets organization was able to keep those guys together for the rest of their careers, or at least the next 14 years. Drexler and Jordan both retired in '98. You know, Jordan didn't come back later on. Let's say they stayed together from '84 to '98. That's 14 years. With their prime years being '84 to '93 or '94, '95. Honestly, I can see those guys winning at least 9 or 10 championships. Okay, I could really see that team winning 9 or 10 championships. But let's not forget, Olajuwon and Jordan dominated the '90s when it came to championships. Right? Drexler in there too in '95. Also, Drexler went to the finals with Portland in both '90 and '92. So Drexler himself has appeared in 3 NBA finals. So yeah, I can legitimately see those guys winning 9 or 10 championships together. First of all, um, I don't know about '85. That'd have been really soon. Okay, I think that team could have beaten the Boston Celtics in '86, and I'll tell you why. With Ralph Sampson playing like shit and them really having no answer for Olajuwon, that Rockets team was still able to take Boston to 6 games. And you put, well, you're not really missing anything with Ralph Sampson, but put Michael Jordan on that team and put Clyde Drexler in that backcourt, and Gary Seasting and Danny Ainge and Dennis Johnson, will have no answers for those guys, and that changes the whole trajectory of that fucking series. Um, and I think they could have beaten Boston in '86. Okay, I think that team could have, even though that was a great team in '87. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's go ahead and give Showtime Lakers '87 championship. Let's just go ahead and give them. So I'm just talking on my ass, okay? So let's give them the '86 title. Let's give the Showtime '87 Lakers the title. The '88 team, they're getting upset by the Rockets. '89, they're going to beat the Pistons. '90, they're going to beat the Pistons. '91, now who's coming out of the West East? The Pistons again? They're going to beat the fuck out of the Pistons this time. '92, who are they playing? There's no Bulls now. That team doesn't really exist anymore. That team doesn't exist. Who are they beating in '92? Who are they playing? Cleveland? They're beating the fuck out of them. So now, look, that's '86, '88, '89, '90, '91, '92. That's 6 championships. '93, they play against the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference Finals. Beat them in 6. And they play against the New York Knicks. They beat them in let's give it 6 games. That's 7 championships. '94, they play against the Knicks, beat them again. '95, they play against the Rockets. They play against the Magic. They're gonna beat them. And then maybe afterward, age might catch up with them. I don't know. Maybe the grind of going to so many finals takes a toll on them. You gotta kind of look at that too. But I see them all right there winning 9 championships, possibly 10 or 11, if they could, stay healthy another 2 years in '97 and '98. You know what I'm saying? '96, '97, '98, maybe 12. I don't know. All I know is this: they're gonna win a lot of fucking championships. The Michael Jordan uh, legacy will be a little different. Elijah will be looked at as the best center ever. um, Jordan will be looked at as, maybe the catalyst, the alpha male. His game would probably be a little different too. Like, he would be a guy capable of scoring 50 points, but he would probably be more like, I don't want to say Oscar, but maybe like I would see. I think Jordan in this scenario would have a game more like he would. I think he'd be I think he would pass the ball more. I think he'd be a little bit more of a facilitator in this type of role than he was in Chicago because he could afford to do so. So I can see him averaging 25 points, 6 rebounds, maybe 7.5 assists in this scenario. 7.5, somewhere in that range. Drexler, I think he would average 21 points, 9.5 rebounds, six assists maybe. The traditional point guards, um, they may not always have the ball in their hands in this scenario. It's just going to be a different type of team. Um, Sometimes Jordan might play point. Sometimes you might have whoever. Jordan might even just take over and play point altogether. That's why I'm kind of hesitant on putting his numbers up because Jordan may just move on to the point guard himself and play that position. And his legacy would be different, you know what I'm saying? That's why I was saying, like, maybe Oscar. Maybe people who always say he's selfish would see the Jordan that averaged 32, 8, 8. Maybe this season he would average, with them, maybe be more like 25, 9 and 9. I don't know. But that's all I got to say about this. Tell me what you guys think.